Ladies and gentlemen, episode 77 of the Oak Life Show. Miss Karen Radtke comes back to you with her presentation on paleo, ketogenic, Mediterranean. Which diet do I do? And she breaks down all the goods, all the bads, the pros, the cons, what you should be looking for within not just a diet, but a lifestyle. Karen's got the knowledge bombs. This is a long one, okay? But it's good information. Thanks for watching.
Karen Radtke. I'm a holistic nurse practitioner and also a board-certified health coach. My passion really is helping people eat healthier, and especially eating healthier to reverse chronic disease such as diabetes, heart disease, high BMI, and those kinds of things. I've been a nurse practitioner for 19 years, so I do have a strong background in the medical field, which I think makes it ideal for me to be doing this type of job and helping people reverse diabetes, reverse heart disease with what I call lifestyle measures, which means diet, exercise, and stress management. So our topic tonight is near and dear to my heart. We're looking at some of the trendy diets that have been hyped up by social media in the last couple of years. How many of you have heard of the paleo diet? Okay, just about everybody has. How many of you have been on the paleo diet?
Kinda.
Kinda? Okay. Do you want to say anything about it?
No. I mean, it's good. I like it. Kinda.
Are you on it now?
No.
Oh, no. I think that kind of said it all, but yeah.
I mean,
okay.
in theory, well, kind of was not overwhelming or anything, but there's like the paleo of like you're gonna make everything that you would eat on the carbohydrate, like a high, like paleo bread, and I have to see that with keto too, like keto bread, and
Right.
like coming up with all these ways of making the, and yeah, like I'm. It's not important to this conversation. I'm
Okay.
not in. That
Okay.
wasn't interesting.
All right.
to me, so.
Well, it's funny to hear you say that because, of course, there is no paleo bread.
Right.
And there is no keto bread. So, yeah. But thank you. And really what you said is perfect. That's a great intro to what we're going to talk about. You also said yes. Do you want to say anything about it?
It was, I'd say, mindful. So what
Okay.
you're gonna put into your body, be more mindful of what you're putting into your body. Focusing on, protein, vegetables, some starchy carbs, legumes, nuts and seeds.
Okay.
So very, very simple.
Yeah.
But I think I was only on it for like about a year, and
Okay.
there wasn't really too much like I guess thought process to it. It just
Okay.
you had to you had to stay away from gluten. You had to stay away from really other delicious pastries.
Yeah.
So,
Delicious pastries.
So
Yes.
that was pretty much the hard part of it. Other than
Right.
that, you just focused on getting lean protein, good carbs, lots of vegetables, some fruit, little starch. It wasn't really too bad. Maybe the first couple of weeks it was a little tough, but
Okay.
after that, you
Got
just
better.
knew what you ate every
Sure.
single meal.
Okay. And you were on it for a year.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you. So I want to start off by saying, really, there's no one right diet for everybody. In a way, all three of them, the paleo, the ketogenic, and the Mediterranean diets, they're all, in a way, kind of fad diets that have come and gone. I'll say a little bit more about that. But I want everybody to understand that there is no one perfect diet for everyone, because we're all created a little bit differently and we all have different needs. If you're young and you're athletic and you're training for a marathon, your needs are going to be a lot different than a 60-year-old person who's fairly sedentary. And when you look historically and around the world, the Japanese people lived for thousands and thousands of years on rice and vegetables with very little protein, and they did real well. No cancer, no heart disease. So they did well on that diet. When you look at the Aztecs, again, historically, they lived on a starchy, corn-based diet. Again, no heart disease, no cancer. They did really well. When you look at the Eskimos, what do they eat?
Fat. All the fat.
Whale blubber. Yeah, and again, for thousands of years, this diet sustained them. So there's lots of different ways to eat healthy. There's no one right way. That's the main point that I want you to go home with today. The other thing I want to say is, how many of you saw the report that came out from U.S. News and World Report earlier this year, where they ranked the diets? Anybody see that?
I feel like I did.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, it was in the news, and they do this, well, they've done it for 8 years in a row now. So they have a panel of experts, 40 people, that rank the diets, and they come up with what they say is the top diet, and then the top diet for weight loss, the top diet for diabetes, the top diet for heart disease, et cetera, et cetera. Well, this year, for the first time, the Mediterranean and the DASH diet tied for number one. The Mediterranean diet has been number one for quite a few years in a row. But really, the study is flawed, because when you look at who these experts are, I think one of them is on the board for the American Dairy Association. And most of them have some link to the food industry. So they're very biased in what they're promoting. And the sad part is, these are the diets they've been promoting, the DASH diet and the Mediterranean diet, and we're going to talk more about the Mediterranean diet. But in the last 8 years, obesity has continued to climb in this country. The incidence of heart disease has continued to climb. It's really sad. So we're not getting the message, the real true message of what people should be eating. We're not getting that message across. And there is a 10-year lag between the scientific studies being done on nutrition and what people hear in the doctor's office. A 10-year lag, which is kind of sad to me. Most doctors know very little, if anything, about nutrition. So if you walk into the doctor's office and you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, how are they going to treat you?
Give them medication.
They're going to give you medication. They won't even, they'll say, go exercise and eat right. And that's all they say. Well, that's really sad to me, because diabetes can be reversed with healthy diet and exercise. But the way our whole healthcare system is set up right now, that's the first choice they always go to. Oh, well, there's a medication for that. And then a few years later, well, the medication isn't quite strong enough, so what do? They add a second medication.
I have to say though, like, as someone who struggled with weight for almost my entire life, I've kind of had maybe just a series of excellent healthcare providers, or I've advocated. I don't know if I've advocated for myself.
Okay,
but
awesome.
I wanted to see a nutritionist. That it was, depending on the severity of the issue. I was on blood pressure medicine, and but it was okay. But so we can treat that immediately, but at the same time, long term, you need to look at life changes and everything.
Okay.
So
That's
I think
great.
I've seen a change in a variety of healthcare providers, from nurse practitioners to the actual physicians and all that. So.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And I think it is slowly shifting. It has to shift, because healthcare costs in this country are just continuing to skyrocket, and healthcare costs are going to bankrupt this country if we don't somehow figure out how to turn things around. But unfortunately, big pharma and the insurance industry right now, they're kind of calling all the shots and running the show. So until we can change the whole conventional medical system, they're not, nobody's going to fund a study on broccoli. So,
It's okay, I don't like broccoli.
okay. Or cauliflower or kale or any of that. But the other thing that you should know is that I'm not a good history person, but during the time when President Reagan was president, when was that? Anybody know?
80s.
80s, thank you. There was a major shift in funding and research in this country, whereas before the government was funding a lot of research that had to do with nutrition as kind of a cost-cutting measure, it shifted to the food industry. So now the food industry itself is funding a lot of the nutritional studies that are being done. I know, it's a little bit sickening, really. And you might remember that about 7 or 8 years ago, there was a big, it was in the headlines, big news that, oh, eggs are good now. They don't raise your cholesterol. Remember that? Well, have any of you read that research?
No.
No. They started out with people who were 80 pounds overweight and already had cholesterol way above the normal range. And then they fed them 2 eggs a day, 6 days a week. So their cholesterol didn't change significantly. It was already 280, which is way above the norm. But, it only went up to 285 when they ate 2 eggs every day. And then it was in the headlines, like, wow, it doesn't really, don't worry, you can eat eggs, that doesn't raise your cholesterol. So it was definitely a flawed study. And I somewhat fault the media too, that they kind of pick up on things like that. So we're a small group, we'll be real informal. Any questions you have, please ask, and I'll try to follow the outline somewhat. All right, so 2 of you already said that, yes, you were on the paleo diet, and theoretically, the paleo diet is like, in some ways, the ideal diet because it's the diet of our ancestors. It's the diet that we are genetically programmed to run on. So it's low carb, no refined sugar, it's high in lean protein, and high in veggies. So all the good foods that you should be eating. The downside is, in this day and age where everybody's busy and has, a lot to do, there is a lot of cooking, a lot of prep time, and it can be a little bit expensive because if you're really on the paleo diet, you're eating only grass-fed beef or venison or bison or other kinds of lean protein that can get a little pricey. But overall, the paleo diet's really healthy. And again, I'll go back to your comment about paleo bread. There is no paleo bread because theoretically you don't eat bread on the paleo diet. Yeah.
That's another thing I forgot to mention. It go with what she said, being overwhelming, the cooking, the prepping, that can get a little overwhelming. But as soon as you have a set stuff that you're gonna eat consistently, it just becomes automatically.
Yep.
You know how to cook the chicken, you know how to
Right.
cook the rice, and it'll just turn into second nature. And that's
Right.
one of the things actually I learned off of the paleo diet was food prepping.
Okay,
And
awesome.
So that was something beneficial that came out of it. Not just getting healthier, but also learning how to cook, learning how to food prep.
Awesome. And you're still doing the food prep even though you're not
Yep.
eating. Good for you. Good for you.
Well, we both are.
Awesome. Yeah. That, everybody wants fast food, but everybody wants to have their food fast. There are ways that you can plan ahead, do the food prep on the weekends, and then have, cooked chicken breasts already in the fridge, ready to go on Wednesday night when you need dinner in, 8 minutes after you walk in the door. So, good point.
You'll really find that the crock pot and rice maker are 2 of the most beneficial utensils you use in the kitchen.
Awesome.
Cooking in bulks
Yep,
makes life so much easier.
good. Thank you for sharing
Yeah, no
that, because
problem.
it's so true. There's a couple more points I wanted to make about the paleo diet, and that is that it's well-researched with good scientific backing. Again, it is the diet of our ancestors. It's been around for a long, long time, has been well-researched. The other very positive thing is that it does prevent, help yourself there. It does prevent insulin spikes and lowers insulin resistance. So if you do have diabetes or prediabetes, it might be something that you should consider. The cons I already mentioned, it can be a little bit time consuming and it doesn't have to be, but it can be expensive.
I've seen some people, so you know, ideally on paleo that you would be doing all grass-fed beef and all of those like sustainably sourced and protein sources that can make it pricey. But I've seen people or I've known people who are very successful with following paleo, but when they can, they buy a grass-fed, but
Right.
if they've got to eat, they're still choosing those lean meats, but, at times it's not necessarily grass-fed, or
Okay.
does that negate the benefits, or?
I wouldn't say it negates the benefits, but I couldn't really ever strictly follow the paleo diet because I don't eat red meat.
Mhm.
I haven't eaten red meat in a long, long, long time.
Mhm.
So to answer your question, I would say you're better off eating a lean chicken breast than you are regular ground hamburger
Sure.
that you buy at Schnucks.
Okay.
And fish
Mhm.
is also on the paleo diet,
Right.
so you're better off eating fish
Mhm.
and poultry rather than eating, quote, regular meat that's not grass-fed.
Okay.
Again, cows were meant to graze. So when they're in big feedlots and force-fed corn just to fatten them up, that meat is way, way different than grass-fed beef that you can buy. Good question. So let's talk about keto, ketogenic. Have any of you ever tried or been on the keto diet?
My boyfriend was doing it.
Okay.
Up until a week ago.
Oh.
And then he had a cheat day. That has turned into a 10-day cheat day. So,
Okay.
kind of saw this one coming, but yeah.
Okay, all right.
But he did lose 25 pounds in like 6 weeks. But yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. And you raised your hand also. Keto?
Yeah,
keto
yeah,
diet?
this is actually my 61st day.
Awesome, okay.
You count the days. But honestly, you don't get hungry on it.
Yes,
You really don't because you're eating a lot of fat. Now, I've researched this a lot. I got like 15 books from the libraries. I've been on the web, and
awesome.
I read reports by doctors. And what I like about it, from what they've shown, it helps on so many diseases. I don't know if you've heard that or not, but they got reports helping different diseases all the way back to the 1920s. So that's basically, I was gaining too much weight, and I basically got on it because I wanted to lose some weight and get healthier. But I'm not, you read one thing in this place, and you go over here, you read one thing in here.
Yeah.
Now, there was a guy by the name of Keyes, and this is a fact, you can look it up, in the 70s, said fat was bad.
Right, right.
Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And so all the food companies went out and made low fat and no fat
Yes.
and everything, and then obesity started going like this.
You're right.
So I'm really kind of sold on it. I mean, I haven't lost much weight. That's been my big thing.
Okay,
But they do say that as old as I am, as years go by, your body becomes resistant to the insulin or something that it's hard to get rid of that extra weight.
right.
And I'm going to stick on it, see what happens.
Okay. Good
I've
for
lost
you.
about 8 or 10 pounds, but
Okay,
61 days, I hope to lose more.
okay. No, but honestly, that's a good weight loss for you
Yeah.
at your age.
Yeah.
At your age, you don't want to have rapid weight loss.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on it? I mean,
Okay.
I came here basically,
All right.
I don't think you're a big fan. That's just what
Well,
my take on it. but-
Okay, there, like everything, there's the pros and the cons. Let's talk about the pros first. A lot of my clients that are diabetics, and they are on maybe 2 medicines and gonna be on the 3rd, I will recommend to them they go on the keto. I recommend the easy keto diet.
The what diet?
The easy keto.
Easy?
Yeah, because the true ketogenic diet is 20 carbs a
Yeah, I
day.
know. I haven't.
And that's like a small apple
Right.
and nothing else.
I know.
So I don't think that's healthy because you're missing out on a lot of phytonutrients.
Yeah.
But again, for my diabetic patients, I often will recommend an easy keto diet, up to maybe 80 grams of carbs
Well,
a
if
day.
the normal person kept their carbs under 50, they normally take in 200 or 300 a day and don't even realize it.
You're
Yeah.
right. Very good point.
Yeah.
That is a very good
And that's
point.
what I was doing.
That's what I've been like, attaboy. I mean, look
Okay.
at what you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's been.
So my average
Yeah.
has been like 35 to 40 in that range.
And that's
Okay.
I haven't been
amazing.
on the true keto because 20 grams, you're right.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah. No, but I think that's great. If you can stay in 35 to 40 grams and you feel good,
Yeah.
would you ever not feel good?
Wow.
Well, I haven't felt any better. That's another thing that kind of bothers me, but I mean, I'm okay. I just,
Okay, you never got sick when you first went on it?
no, I never
Good.
got that flu they call
Yeah.
it, keto
Okay.
flu.
All right. So,
Is that, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Just,
Yeah.
just
yeah.
because I'm his wife, I live with him, and I'm like watching him. He's my little experiment. No, I'm not.
Well, let's see if he kills over today.
Well, should have some more carbs.
Yeah.
No. But what are when they say flu-like symptoms that people
Yeah.
get this? I mean, are we talking fever, chills? Are we talking
Chills.
snow? Are we talking
Chills,
sneezing? What?
fatigue,
Yeah, headache.
irritability. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, irritability, headache, flu-like symptoms. You kind of feel like you have the flu, but you don't.
So fatigue is one.
Fatigue,
And
headache,
what
nausea,
why?
a lot
Okay.
of nausea.
Why is
Cutting
that
down the
happening?
carbs somewhere.
If that's a very common thing, why does the keto bring that on people? What's
Okay.
happening?
Because if you're on the pure keto diet, low carbs, so
Right.
after about 2 days, you have used up all of your glycogen stores, your
Okay.
carbohydrate stores that are in your body, so your body starts burning ketones.
Right.
It literally pulls fat out from your cells, converts it to ketones, and your body then uses that as fuel.
Right.
But unless you are a very seasoned athlete and you're running a ultra marathon, 100 miles, where your body can switch back and forth very easily from burning ketones to burning ketones to burning carbs to burning ketones, and a lot of athletes do.
Oh.
I mean, you can't do the Tour de France if you're not burning ketones.
Right.
But people that switch from burning carbs to burning ketones don't feel good because your body likes carbs,
Yeah.
especially your brain.
Okay.
And it's just people oftentimes have this flu-like feeling for a
So
couple
it's-
of days.
So that's what like if you are really getting the flu, it is your body's kind of centering its energy because it's fighting something and you
Right.
don't really realize it's fighting something. That's when you're like, oh, I must be getting the flu because I'm tired, I'm weak, something's
Right.
happening.
Right.
So this is what happens with your body's sort of fighting that. Is that
Yes.
what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your body is not happy with you. Like,
Right.
where are my carbs that I crave?
Right. So it kind of shuts down a little, and that's what makes you feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm using that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
Like
shuts down, but it's
analogy.
like major metabolic
Right.
shifting
It's
going
like a
on.
toddler throwing a hissy fit. Your body
Right.
starts it, and then
Yeah.
it adjusts and realizes that this is reality and just get used to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah, so a couple more things I want to say about it. You had a good point. It has been somewhat researched, but there have not been any good research studies that have lasted longer than 2 years.
On
The
keto.
On keto. The
Okay.
studies that were done in the 1920s, the ketogenic diet was actually developed to help with epilepsy in
Yeah,
the
that's what I was trying to
1920s.
think of, yeah.
So there's a lot of study on epilepsy, but there's no studies linking heart disease, diabetes to the keto diet that are longer than 2 years.
In modern day.
In modern day, correct, yeah. So here is the bad thing about the keto diet, and I don't know exactly what you're eating. At the end, I have a reference list, and I would strongly recommend to you that book by Maria and Craig Emmerich, because I think she does keto right. And she really explains all the science in it and what your body does and how everything shifts. But she also says you should not, if you're on the keto diet, you should not be eating T-bone steak and cream cheese and, butter at every meal and all this saturated fat, because she explains why saturated fat is so bad for us. And we all know that. Study after study after study.
Now, I have to say, a lot of the reports I read said saturated fat is good.
Well, then read this book.
I've got
This-
that book.
Pardon?
I've got that
Okay.
book.
China.
This is the definitive study of the relationship between diet and disease. And they have studied hundreds of thousands of people. So we know that saturated fat is bad. Now, short term, it seems to be kind of okay, but long term, it is not good. And the main reason for that, and people don't sometimes study this, is saturated fat contributes to insulin resistance. Does everybody know what that is?
Insulin resistance.
Insulin resistance, yeah. It's where, even though your body's making insulin, your body's not using insulin properly. And the reason, one of the major contributing factors to insulin resistance is because there's too much fat in your body's cells, especially in the liver, and then even in the pancreas. So again, there are no studies on the ketogenic diet that really look at that are longer than 2 years. Now, it takes 2 to 5 years for insulin resistance to develop in your body before you get the diagnosis of diabetes. So that's why people say, oh, well, it doesn't really contribute to heart disease. Well, if you're eating saturated fat, it probably does, but we don't have any good research that's longer than 2 years. And I have heard people say, too, that, oh, well, my cholesterol didn't change. Well, that could be, too. But again, if you read the China study, and there's so many, he quotes lots of other things. I mean, if you look at, he has like, how many? 49 pages of references at the back of his book. All the original research is documented here. And many other doctors as well. Dr. Mark Hyman, he's written many books, but he also wrote this one, the 10-Day Detox book. He wrote Ultra Metabolism. He also is very adamant that saturated fat is bad, and based on the research.
I thought he said from the readings that he said fat was good. I don't know about saturated fat.
Mark Hyman?
Yeah, maybe I was wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure he is a proponent of unsaturated fat.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I meant. He might have not said anything bad or good about saturated, but he's kind of high on fat, so isn't he? As being good for
I
you?
don't think so. He
Okay.
is, I'm 99.8%
I might have him mixed up with
sure. I
somebody
know,
else.
there's a lot of doctors right now. His main thing is promoting a plant-based diet. So I don't think he is a proponent. I know he's not a proponent.
Yeah,
of
I've read quite a bit of
saturated
his stuff, and he's been on TV a few times.
fat. Yes.
Would you say he's more of a proponent of, say, the healthy fats, such as like your polyunsaturated, such as your monosaturated, and unsaturated?
He is, but he, more than some of the other docs, is really a proponent of plant-based, lower fat. I mean, not like, oh, what's his name? David Katz, who really promotes more of a balanced diet and a moderate amount of fat. He's pretty much plant-based, legumes, vegetables, yeah, a few nuts here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't you see that the obesity rate and the overweight is just, like you said, skyrocketing? And
Yes.
this country is going to go, it's just going to destroy
Yes.
itself.
Yeah.
But it started, it seems like, sugar and fat. People started eating more sugar
Yes.
and they stopped eating fat.
You're right. That's a very good point. And unfortunately, I don't know who decided that that was a good idea, but you're exactly right. In the 70s, there was this huge push for
Yeah.
low-fat diets. You might remember Snackwells. Well, you guys are too young. But remember Snackwells? I mean, that was all the rage. Low-fat this, low-fat that. But there was no research really to back that up. It was just somewhat of a theory they had, and the food industry fed right into it and then created all these processed foods that had a long shelf life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of the obesity epidemic.
And
But don't
the
you
meat.
see that then the fat is not the problem? Can you see that? Or am I completely wrong?
No, you're right. You're right. Because what happens if you eat sugar and if you eat refined carbohydrates like Rice
Yeah.
Krispies that instantly turn into sugar in your body,
Yeah.
your blood sugar goes up, and then your insulin goes up, and insulin promotes the storage of fat. That's what insulin does. So you get fat eating refined carbohydrates.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay.
So healthy fats is what you should be eating.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the keto diet says lard is good for you, and I used to look at lard when I was a kid. My mom used lard all the time, and
Right.
and I looked at it and I said I wouldn't touch that one.
Yeah.
But now they say there's nothing wrong with lard, which I still wouldn't eat.
Right. Well, good.
There's probably something wrong with lard. You probably shouldn't listen to where you heard that from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
It's
that's
what
all
they
they cooked
had.
with back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
So you're
Right.
talking about the
Yeah.
paleo diet if you do that.
Yeah.
It's kind
You're
of
right. You're right.
I wonder if the lard back then is different than the lard that they serve.
Yeah.
Oh, no
it's way
doubt.
less
No
processed.
Right.
doubt. No doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
Less processed.
Everything was so less processed. I mean, in just one
Yes.
generation, it's gotten
Right.
all the obesity and
Well,
Yes.
Even the size of the food portions.
Yes.
If you go
Oh
back
my gosh,
to
isn't
that
1980s,
something?
The size of a bagel was probably like the
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm gonna exaggerate this, was probably the size of like a medium sized cookie.
Right.
I don't even know what a
Yeah.
medium sized cookie is. Like.
Right. But
But,
not these
there's no-
ginormous ones
Yeah,
like that
exactly.
can't even fit in the
Yeah.
package now. They stick together. They're like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
and
they're
one
just
of
like
them is
glue.
like 96 grams of carbs.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Right.
Not even good carbs
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, and yet, you know, probably 1/3 of the country wakes up in the morning and has either Cheerios or bagels for breakfast, thinking, "Oh, it's good."
Yeah, but
I think a lot of it is that people don't know the
Yes.
amount of carbs or fat or
I agree.
calories that they're even supposed to have in a day.
I
I
I think
agree.
a lot of people don't even know that.
They sit
because
down and
they
eat
don't
pizza,
know.
they have no idea how many carbs they're
They
eating.
have no
Yeah,
idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I used to do all the time.
Nowhere gives that information. I mean, you
Right.
don't learn that in school.
right.
From some of your parents, you might learn it, but you're not learning that from school or work or
Right.
anything like that unless you're consciously looking that information up.
Right.
So I think that plays a huge part in it as
I
well.
do too. I do too. And you had a good point, portion control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're America,
Yeah.
bigger and better, so we're into
my
plate
gosh.
coverage and just eating way too much,
Way
way,
too
way,
much.
way too much.
Way.
There was a documentary series online a couple months ago, and I think it was Mark Hyman, or it might have been his coworker, gave this beautiful analogy. He said, think of your body as a car. So you fill up the gas tank, and the gas tank is full, but you just keep adding more fuel, so pretty soon your back seat is full of fuel, you know?
Yeah.
But no, you just keep eating, and pretty soon your front seat is full, and pretty soon you're up to your neck in, you know, in gasoline because
Yeah.
you're just putting in too much fuel. And that really, I think, is a big part of the problem
Oh,
in this
yeah.
country.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
eat way too much.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I think any diet that kind of trains you to eat differently is probably a good thing.
Yeah, just to be mindful. You
To
said
be
that
mindful.
word. That's very true. Like,
Yes.
that's where it has to start. You have to start in your mind thinking.
Absolutely.
I gotta think about what I'm thinking about food here.
Yep. It's
you
a
know,
mindset.
just stop it all and then.
It is a mindset,
Yes.
absolutely. So at the end then, under your resources, there are 2 references for the glycemic index. If you're really not sure, like, you know, if you want to kind of go low carb and you're not sure, like, let's see, a bowl of Cheerios, how many carbs are there in a bowl of Cheerios? You can go to, I can't remember which is which. One of the references is a list of 50 common foods in their glycemic index. And then the other one, you can put in any food you want to, like, you know, Cheez-Its, and it'll tell you how many grams of carbs and the glycemic index for that food. So good questions, all of you. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say about the ketogenic diet is that a lot of people have GI issues like ongoing. So if you haven't had any GI issues, that's good. And then it can contribute to kidney stones. So you have to be a little bit careful if you're on a strict keto diet.
Yeah. What causes kidney stones? I forgot.
Well, it's like little, usually chunks of calcium that are
yeah.
that are formed in your kidneys, and then they kind of get stuck in your
Oh,
ureter,
yeah.
and yeah, very painful.
Okay, so it's the
Yeah.
calcium. Okay.
Yes,
Right.
because again, when you're on the if you're on the strict ketogenic diet, you change your whole metabolism, and it can shift your electrolytes and other issues, and can cause kidney stones.
I have a question you might not be able to answer, but
I'll try.
because I've read different things. They say if you're like a banana, let's just say it has 10 carbs, and then there's 4 grams of fiber in it. So
Right.
then you only count that as 6
net
carbs,
carbs, yeah.
net carbs. Some
If
of them
you
say you
wanna-
should do that, and some say you shouldn't. You should just go by the total carb. What's your thought? Anything?
It depends on you and your lifestyle. If I had to sit there with my little carb and fiber counter every day, or, read every single label, I love what you said earlier about the planning.
Yeah.
You do kind of learn. But if you had a life-threatening illness, again, if you were diabetic and about to
Yeah.
lose a toe, or if you
Right.
had heart disease and you needed a stent, I would count carbs and fiber and net carbs.
Yeah.
But for the average person,
Well, I'm not
Most-
average. I do it because I'm retired and I just do it.
okay, you have time.
Yeah, we do net carbs too.
Do
Do
you?
ya?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
because the fiber is what you want to get.
Yeah.
Fiber is good for you. So if it has more.
Well,
of
I
that,
read a
then-
couple other books that said it's better if you just don't figure the net carbs, they said. And I thought, well, I'm not going to buy that.
Well, if you have time, I mean, that's what really matters is
Yeah.
the net carbs.
Yeah.
Because a food like, let's say, sweet potatoes, they're fairly high in carbs, but they're
Yeah.
also very high in fiber. So the net carbs are lower. So even on the keto diet, I would say, probably you should be eating
Well,
something.
this last book I got from the library, I liked it so well, I ordered it
Okay,
to keep it on hand. And I don't know if I can believe that stuff because they got a list of red meat
right.
and all the vitamins in it. I didn't even know red meat had a lot of vitamins to begin with.
Yes, yeah.
And they compared it to vegetables that I thought were really good vegetables, and the red meat beat them all. So I don't know. You know,
Grass fed, right?
no, it wasn't grass fed.
Oh,
It was just red
okay.
meat. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm not surprised about that. There are a lot of good things in red meat, and yes, there.
But that
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
Well,
I
I don't know
just
what chapter you were in or what point they were trying to make.
Yeah.
But if you ate 4 servings of vegetables every day and a variety, you would probably get all those same vitamins. Like beef, I'm pretty sure beef has almost 0 vitamin C, and you have to have vitamin C.
Yeah.
It has maybe a little bit of vitamin D and maybe a little bit of vitamin A, but not your daily requirement.
Well, it
So
had a
you're
list
right.
of about 20 of them. And I
Yeah.
was shocked.
Well, I mean,
But they weren't doctors that wrote the book, but
okay,
they really seemed to know what they were talking about. So
yeah, and I do believe it. I mean, I think there are, somebody help me out, there's at least 12 B vitamins, at least 12. And beef is high in all of those. So
Yeah.
there's 12 right there.
Yeah.
But again, there's no vitamin C. There's probably
Yeah,
no
that's-
Yeah, and it
vitamin-
depends on what type of vegetable it compared it to as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
If
Yeah.
they compared it to a vegetable that
Yeah.
doesn't have those vitamins,
Can you
then
compare-
Compared to iceberg lettuce.
yes, exactly. yeah.
Compare it
Celery.
to iceberg lettuce
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Well, no, celery's good. It's got
Yeah.
some good stuff, but yeah, it's got like
Yeah,
Minus
it just depends
calories.
what they
Like
compare it
If,
to.
if you compared
Oh, there it
a
is.
piece of steak
Yeah, that's what
to,
I
let's
said.
say, a bowl of kale or even spinach, when you compare red meat to green leafy vegetables, you're definitely going to get the most benefit out of the green leafy vegetables, and if not, probably the same what you'd be getting from the red meat. You'd be doing yourself a service by eating the green leafy vegetables than the red meat. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's all to the
Yeah.
person too.
Yeah, and you have to consider the package that it comes in. Again, if it's grass-fed and you bought that beef from the farmer and you knew, if it's organic, grass-fed, and you bought it from the farmer in Pecatonica, good for you, eat that red meat.
Yeah.
But again, I don't recommend to anybody that they buy hamburger at Schnucks.
Yeah.
I heard.
makes you gotta get the willies just thinking about it. Like,
Yeah,
it's just like,
right.
oh, no.
I also heard this, and
Yeah.
it kind of shocked me. It says your body only needs 2 things, protein and fat. It doesn't need vegetables or fruits
Oh,
Well,
to live, basically to live.
Well, that's
to live for how long?
Well, I don't
Because
know, they
again,
didn't
I'm
say.
not a historian, but
That's
then
a
I
good
can't
point,
remember
Karen.
which if it was the Englishmen who ventured to this country or whatever, that all died of scurvy because they had no vitamin C.
Right, yeah.
So I mean, you
Yeah.
can't live very long without
Yeah.
vitamin C.
Yeah.
And you'll feel miserable if you
Yeah.
don't have vitamin D.
But I think like vitamin C, they added to so many things now.
Yes.
I think that's maybe why that's true today versus, you know, there's the vitamin D, vitamin C, fortified.
Yeah, for sure.
All those
That's a
good
good
fruit
point.
juices.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you rather get like your vitamin D or vitamin C from like something that that already has it in it instead of it being added to something else that it shouldn't even
Yeah.
be invited to or processed to, I should say.
Right.
You can get it from an orange instead of that vitamin C being added to a piece of grass-fed meat.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
shouldn't even be in there because it's not
Yeah,
meant to be.
not its natural source. Yeah, that's a good point. And as we all know, I mean, vitamin D has been added to milk,
Yeah.
to regular cow's milk in this country for a long, 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 long time. It's just kind of a given now. But
Yeah.
again, if that vitamin D is chemically synthesized in a test tube somewhere and then just added to my milk, I'm not sure I want that vitamin D, you know? I'd rather get vitamin D from kale or something that's the natural source of it. All right, let's move on and talk about Mediterranean for a few minutes.
Okay.
Mediterranean has been around for quite some time now, so it's been well researched, long history. Essentially what it is, it's the diet of people who live around the Mediterranean Sea. So good news, bad news, I guess kind of the bad news is there's really no one Mediterranean diet. When you look at the diet that's consumed by the Greek people, it's very different than that from Italy and very different from that in France. So there's no one Mediterranean diet. And I think that's where people really get kind of mixed up sometimes, because if you go to the library or you go on Amazon, I mean, there are a gazillion Mediterranean cookbooks because there's such variety. So what I have found with my clients, they say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go on the Mediterranean diet. Well, there's absolutely no, I mean, they can kind of eat whatever they want. Like, you know, they can have Italian for lunch and they can have Greek for dinner. So, you know, they end up not really changing their diet in any way. They kind of change it just to what suits them. And as I think we all know, pizza is an American intervention. It's not really Italian.
Would you
I
say
mean,
it
they-
would be more of a variety that they're doing, or a more variety of? They're not really changing their diet. They're not sticking to one diet, but they're going
Correct.
with all different diets.
Yeah, they're just kind of doing whatever works for them. Because theoretically, if you are on a Mediterranean type diet, there's very little red meat. There's a lot of fish. There are a lot of fruit and veggies. It's low in saturated fat, but it's high like in olive oil. So again, a lot of times people, I think there are some good things about the Mediterranean diet, don't get me wrong, but I think there's so much leeway because there is such a huge variety of eating plans within the Mediterranean diet that sometimes people just think it'll be an easy way to be on some kind of diet to maybe help them feel better psychologically. And it's not really doing much for them. So again, it's not a bad eating plan. If you decide you really want to, you know, follow more of the Mediterranean style that they eat in Greece, I would say go for it, because there are some very good things. They don't eat hardly any sugar in those countries. They don't eat, well, I guess in France they have their pastries, but yeah, for the most part it is low in refined carbs and low in sugar. So there's lots of information out there if you are interested in that. If you really stick with the healthier parts of it, it's anti-inflammatory. So it's often equated to the anti-inflammatory diet. So now the million-dollar question, what to eat? Again, there's no one diet that's right for everyone. I'm glad to hear that you've done well on the keto diet, and I think as long as you're not having any problems and you don't develop kidney stones or any GI issues, you've lost a little bit of weight. I'm happy to hear you're more at the 35 to 40 gram
Yeah.
carb level.
I hit the 20 a couple times, but that's ridiculous. I
Yeah,
mean,
Well, it's not sustainable too. I
Right.
agree. It's just,
Yeah,
it's
then you find
hard.
yourself on a 10-day, one day.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm a fan of the Mediterranean diet, because I kind of do that, and that's why we took the class, because he's
Okay.
trying to do keto, or he is doing keto, and I'm
trying to do.
trying to do Mediterranean, but I had to do something, because I was overweight, and it's more about stress, for me, and I'm like, but I have so much stress, I can't even figure out what to eat, what do I eat, I don't know,
Okay.
so the Mediterranean worked, because it was like,
Everything.
and a little red wine to boot, and
Right.
they're good.
Right.
But it's been good. It's
okay.
been mentally healthy, because it's hard for me to I can't do that. Like I don't perform well under that. It's like, give me options so I can choose and
Right.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
it's been
again, there can be
good in
really
that way.
good things with the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah,
If
it's like
you're eating
just
more
fresh
fish,
food. Yeah.
fresh fruit, fresh veggies, more
Yeah.
fish, less red meat,
Yeah.
olive oil instead of corn oil.
Yeah.
Making some of those trade-offs, that's great.
Exactly. It's just a very healthy way to me, that's sustainable. It's like just healthy choices. Just, that's what it is. Even if you're out, you can pick something healthy
Right?
on a menu, fish
Yep.
or, a nice big salad. I mean, every place has that. And just, it's not that hard, but I'm enjoying it, and I've lost some weight.
Good.
So,
Good for you.
but I'm trying to support this one too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know.
Well, good for both of you, really.
Yeah. I think
Because
he could
you-
open up a little bit. I don't know. We've
Pardon?
lost 10 pounds. I mean, how do you feel going forward? Do you want to add something, or no?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Do you
Oh,
want
I
to
like
just keep
to
doing
add pizza,
Right, ice
popcorn,
cream, that's his favorite.
ice cream, pie, cereals.
But you can't, right.
Yeah.
I could go
And we
down
have
the
cut
list.
those out. We've cut those out.
No, I haven't had any of that stuff.
Wow,
None.
good
Zero.
No, he
Have-
truly has been good.
Have you tried cauliflower rice crust pizza?
Yeah, I like
can't
that.
find it.
It's almost like,
We make our own.
well, you can buy it
It's so
frozen,
good.
you know.
Yeah, but it's better when you make
Oh,
it.
of course, yeah.
So how do
But
you
it's
make
almost
it?
like mashed potatoes in a way, but
Yeah.
you can add butter
Yeah.
to it. And,
Yeah.
She's talking about an actual pizza crust.
oh, a pizza crust.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
no,
heard of it,
I
I
thought you
don't-
meant
I
just
can't
regular
find one.
cauliflower.
Oh no!
You can buy the little-
You use the rice cauliflower in the frozen bag, and you can make a pizza crust with it.
Oh,
And you mix an egg and cheese in with it, and it binds it together. And then you cook it for 10-15 minutes, and then put your toppings on it.
I'm
It's
coming to your house
fantastic.
for dinner. Wow,
Yeah.
that sounds good.
Yeah, we've been doing that for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got to try
well, we were
that
just talking about that
because-
the other day, but we didn't know how to do it. So we can find it online, I'm sure.
Yeah, or I can probably give you the recipe from my head. Because we make it so much.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the cook, just
The
rattled
pizza,
up.
The nice thing about pizza, I mean, as a food, you can do all kinds of different things.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's
You
nice,
can.
and it's just you feel like you're having a snack when you have pizza on
Right.
Friday nights. Like,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
that would be great. I'll catch you after class.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
finish.
And I love what you said about the stress, because that's a big part of it too.
That's what I see in our culture. Is I just see I am one of them. That is my number one thing, is trying to reduce my stress, because if we reduce our stress in our brains and our bodies, we're going to be healthier. We can think more clearly, make better choices. I mean, it just, to me, it just starts
Yes.
all right there. I was very much on the verge of letting my stress overtake me. So it's important. It really
It is.
is.
It's very
I'm
important.
passionate about that.
Yeah.
I have a
For sure.
question for you.
Yeah.
So you're talking about stress. Is it the stress that you're having, like, when making, like, food, or stress, like, when you're going out grocery shopping?
Oh, for me, it's just life stress.
She means
Oh,
Work,
okay.
yeah, like just
Okay.
life. I
Yeah.
have my own business. I'm my
Okay.
own boss. So, there's this constant, if I don't
Okay.
do it, nobody's going to do it, and I don't
Right.
get paid.
Okay.
But yes, there is also stress. Yeah, then I can't make choices when I'm all stressed out.
Yeah.
Right.
When you come home from a really
Long day.
rough day,
Oh, yeah.
you're tired, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you just,
Yeah.
that's why you've learned to do the
Right.
crock pot and
Yep.
do things to take away, so I don't have to come home and make that decision or do that work. But yeah, and I feel my job is I take on people's stress. And it's like, okay, no, I gotta stop doing that. So, those are just things you learn. I've had to learn. Yeah. That's,
But you're so right,
Helped.
because when you're stressed, you tend to make poor eating choices.
oh, you
Yeah.
can't.
We all do. We all do. I'm guilty.
Yeah. When you're tired, hungry, stressed, I mean, you're gonna reach for that whatever it is. Who knows what it is? Just
Right.
And I reach for sugar when I'm tired. I learned that by slowing myself down. I was like, why am I wanting sugar? Because your body's actually tired. You need
Right.
to just lay down for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Take a power nap. It's okay.
Right.
Don't go eat a bunch of sugar. That's
Yeah, I'm
not
happy
gonna
to
work.
hear you say that, because,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just one thing, but.
But
it's-
just out
it's
of
ongoing.
curiosity, what is your eating pattern style?
What is my eating pattern style? Well, I kind of put a few notes there on what to eat. I'm a huge advocate for what I call a whole food diet, meaning no processed foods,
Yeah.
very little refined carbohydrates, very little refined sugar.
Right.
So by whole food, I mean food that remembers where it came from. So a chicken breast looks like a chicken breast, a stalk of broccoli looks like a stalk of broccoli.
Yeah.
So
fresh.
I eat very fresh,
Right.
unprocessed. Yeah. And okay, I do exercise, but I'm not training for a marathon, so really my metabolic needs are relatively low. Your metabolic rate slows 3% per year.
Wow.
How
After
much
age
a year?
3% per year.
Oh my gosh.
Since I've known you, that's a lot. Poor baby.
Yeah, so I know that I can't eat the same way that I did 10 years ago.
Exactly.
I can't, and I'm pretty active, I probably walk or jog 3-4 miles a day, and I have a big house and a yard that I take care of, and I'm active. But again, I know I can't eat the same that I did 10 years
Wow,
ago. So I
3%
just
a
keep
year.
cutting down on my carbs. We eat a lot of fish. I eat a lot of nuts and seeds for protein and for the healthy fats.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of veggies, probably 5, 6, 7 a day,
Wow.
a fruit or two.
That's like Mediterranean, except for
It is.
you don't have red meat, but you don't
Right.
need, it's,
Yes.
yeah, it's just very healthy, whole food,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you get your fish from?
Yeah.
Woodman's?
Alaska?
Yeah, Woodman's is good. Woodman's or Valley.
Fresh? I'm
Not
guessing.
always, no.
Not always.
It's hard to get that here.
It's hard to
just
get
very hard.
good fresh fish, but I do make sure that it's not farm raised.
Look for
Usually
wild caught.
90, wild caught. Yeah. Like cod, we eat a lot of cod and salmon.
And it's good, and it does fill you up.
It does.
Yeah, it's
It
amazing
does.
when you have a big thing of, tuna or salmon. You're
Right.
like, that's really good.
Yeah.
And it lasts in you for so long that you don't realize like how long protein actually takes to digest into your body.
Right?
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
since we're talking about protein, is there any myth about how much protein we actually need a
Oh,
day?
that's a very good question. Most
Yeah.
Americans eat too much protein. We're kind of fixated on protein.
Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely an industry that
Yeah.
grew itself.
That's
Right.
for
And I
sure.
can't-
Yeah. Protein bars,
Okay.
protein drinks.
So did I put it on your reference sheet? I think I did. The longevity diet. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your reference sheet.
Yep.
By Walter Longo, The Longevity Diet. He has a wonderful little formula in his book for how to figure how much protein you need. And again, talking about people who've done their research, he has done his research.
So would you say that it is way less than what,
It's usually less than what most people think it should be.
so people are thinking they should get between like 100 to 200 grams potentially if they're, let's say they're an athlete.
Right.
They think they need large
Right.
amounts of protein.
Right.
But do you really need large amounts of protein in order to build lean muscle or even to just sustain yourself?
For the most part, no. But again, if you're training for the Tour de France, number one, you're just gonna eat a lot.
Yeah.
I know, are we out of time? Probably.
No, I'm just standing
no,
because I
okay.
was stiff.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just
Um,
standing.
Essentially, your body is going to use that. If you're, say, you're Lance Armstrong, your
Right.
body's going to use that protein.
Yes,
Some average Joe,
right.
Is
If you have a
the-
desk job,
200 grams of protein.
yeah.
That's just going to turn into probably excess carbohydrates.
They say it turns into sugar.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. You're right.
So along those lines as well, so there's some myths out there that animal protein is better than plant protein or bean protein or something plant-based. Is there any research on that whatsoever?
There is research on it, but I don't think that's true. That animal protein is better.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because actually, even, I think it's in this book or one of his other books, I think it might be in his other book called Ultra Metabolism, where, and also Dr. Neil Barnard, who wrote Reversing Diabetes, they believe that animal protein is also one of the precursors for diabetes.
And is there multiple areas of research that has been done on that, or is it just those two people that? did
No,
that?
there's multiple. Again, if you look at research that's done by MDs or PhDs, and they are pretty well known in their, across the country, they're not gonna print crap, or, they're not gonna print well-founded research in their books and
Yeah.
online articles, or they'll be laughed out of town. So it is substantial research that's been done. So again, I would say that book, or you could Google him and the longevity diet, and you might find, stuff online too about that. And he does talk about that, about how much protein you need. And I know there's good research out there saying that plant-based protein is probably better for us. I mean, when you look historically around the world, for the most part, for thousands of years, we ate very little protein. I mean, China and Japan is a good example because they had no breast cancer, no cancer in their whole
Yeah.
country until they started eating more protein.
Yeah, we've done a lot of
Until-
research
yeah.
on that.
So-
Yeah, a lot more Western.
Again, yeah,
What about the
more
7 amino
diet.
acids? I mean, you can get them from plants, but isn't it harder to get them than just from protein?
A little bit, but not, again, I haven't eaten red meat in 45 years, so, it maybe takes a little, I do eat fish, and I eat turkey on Thanksgiving. And you have to plan a little bit. I mean, I
Yeah.
eat legumes, I eat quinoa, I eat broccoli, I eat nuts and seeds. And as long as you have somewhat of a well-balanced
Yeah.
diet, you'll get the
That's-
amino
yeah.
acids that you need.
Okay.
That is
Yeah.
just the key.
Yeah.
Variety.
Yeah, there's a, I read an article, it is proven that you, with an abundance of different kinds of vegetables or plant-based diet, you will get your, let's say your would it be not essential, or is it the essential?
The essential. The
The
essential are
essential-
the ones you need.
Right, the essential amino acids that you could get from a piece of meat, which it's easier, but with an abundance of different kinds of vegetables and fruit, you will get your essential amino acids just from
Yeah.
different kinds of fruits.
And then it's fun. It's funner to eat a lot of funner. Is that a word?
Yeah.
When you have
It's
to
a
eat
word
every
now.
day. Yeah, that's my mother-in-law always used. She's like, when I had to cook every day, I thought, well, I might as well have fun with this and learn
Yeah,
new things.
sure, yeah.
When you're feeding on a family, but when you're feeding a family, you have to make a variety, or your kids will tell you about it, and then it's not fun. We're
Well,
like this again.
kind of the rule of the thumb that I've always heard for protein amount is half a gram or gram. Let's see.
A gram
Take
per
your
body
body
weight.
weight and then half that, how many grams?
Yeah.
If you weigh 120, 60 grams of protein should be your max, I would say.
I think that
You
is
don't
the
even
rule
need,
of thumb.
yeah, you probably don't even need that much, but that's a good starting point.
Which would vary based on activity level.
Yes and no.
What you're doing.
Yeah, we were talking about that, yeah, like, if you're training for the Tour de France, you're gonna need more protein, but, yeah.
Yeah, if you walk in this gym, you're gonna need a lot of it.
Does it differ between a male and a female of how much protein?
That's a good question, and I honestly don't know.
Everything I read, it's not. And
No.
you'd still just figure it, like if you weigh 120, you know, eat 60 grams of protein. You weigh 200, eat 100. I don't know for sure.
That's a good question, and I don't know either.
No.
Well, thank you. You've been wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very interesting. Thank you.
I do have my cards if anybody
Yeah.
is interested.